So I'm the first one, yeah, supposed to be the first presenter. And I'm from Hong Kong, the Chinese University of Hong Kong, and I work as professional consultant, which is equivalent to assistant professor. And I do the job in teacher education, and also I think for me, I think I am a teacher educator as well as a teacher education researcher. And I have published some papers in relation to teacher leadership, yeah, since some years ago. And that's me. Yeah, thank you very much. So this session's title is Are You Leading from the Classroom? And when thinking about this title, actually I was thinking about, oh, teacher leadership is very important that can shape our educational environment. And it's not just about formal leadership, but also the leadership qualities in teachers themselves. And I try to do the this like systematic review. So based on this big question, are you leading from the classroom? So I'm trying to take out the definitions of teacher leadership and also to draw the key findings based on the previous studies, as well as their limitations and implications for the future research.
That's great.
Yeah. So based on teacher leadership in general, and I think there are three different general definitions. First is about influence and collaboration, which is about influencing others, especially your colleagues and the teachers you work with, and for those who participating in shared decision making to improve school practices and culture. And another perspective is about professional development, just like the previous session is like professional growth based on the reflection. I think the teacher leaders can facilitate ongoing professional growth and mentoring colleagues, fostering a collaborative learning environment. And so I have introduced some of the general definitions about teacher leadership. And another very important aspect, which is focus on student outcomes. So that is about enhancing student outcomes through continuing improvement and effective teaching practices. And why do I use systematic review? Based on the previous definition, basically, a systematic review attempts to collate all empirical evidence that fits specific eligibility criteria in order to answer a specific question. So it uses explicit systematic methods that are selected with a view to minimizing bias, thus providing more reliable findings from which conclusions can be drawn and decisions being made. So these are the features of systematic review. So basically, it's explicit, more transparent methods, and it's a piece of research that really follow a standard set of stages of getting the published papers or publication, something like that. And it's much more replicable for anyone who wants to continue the systematic review, and it's more relevant to and useful to the users. So I try to use systematic review on teacher leadership in teacher education in order to draw out different aspects. First, based on why I want to focus on teacher education. Actually, I think teacher leadership is gaining much more, I think, regulation. And so we need to have more comprehensive understanding of its role and impact in that aspect based on teacher leadership, but more specific in the field of teacher education. And I think there are many diverse models that are really existing in teacher leadership. And so that can be inconsistency amongst different definitions. So I want to draw out what it means to us and also about the impact on outcomes so we can get much more understanding about effective teacher leadership, how it affects and enhances student learning. And also based on this systematic review, we can understand more about the professional development needs of the teachers in order to really help them foster teacher leadership. And also we can get more understanding about the challenges and contextual factors that affect teacher leadership. And at last, it's also very important for draw out the implications for the policies as well in order to make it happen in a bigger macro perspective. So how do I do this systematic review? First, I have two basic questions. So the first one is based on descriptive analysis. Basically, it's about what trends can be identified in the number of publications and research approaches used in those studies on teacher leadership in the field of teacher education from 2018 to 2024, and how do these trends vary by region? And the research question number 2, which is, what are the definitions of teacher leadership used in published papers? And what are those key findings, limitations, and suggested implications for future research as identified in those findings? So this is the process of systematic review. So based on the research question, and I draw out the inclusion criteria and exclusion criteria. Basically, I focus on SSCI journals and which are in the field of teacher education. And also it's about the 7 years publication, which involve teacher leadership. And also only empirical research are included. And for those SSCI journals, basically, which are English written, and for exclusion criteria, basically is like the opposite to inclusion. So those non-SSCI journals, not in the field of teacher education, out of the year aspect, and those not really directly related to teacher leadership are excluded. And also literature review or scoping review or other systematic reviews are excluded. And so based on that, I use a basic keyword search, teacher leadership, for this study due to the time limit. So I include these 8 different teacher education SSCI journals in the field of teacher education: Asia Pacific JTE, European JTE, and JET and JTE, and also teacher education and special education, and TATE, teachers and teaching, and teachers college record. So in the identification process, I can find that based on the database, I search a lot of records, and there were 130 in the total, which are based on the keyword teacher leadership. However, further search, because I need to find out which are really eligible. That means they are more direct, relevant to teacher leadership. And I find that only 45 are included. And while 85 are already excluded. So sorry, the number is now, I have to update, is 44 because I do another review again. And also those studies were taken place in the field of primary education, secondary education, and some of them happened in both primary and secondary education, and some are taking place in secondary education and higher education. And for higher education, some of them are actually related to teacher education. So the data analysis has 2 types. One is about the descriptive side. So the number of publications over those 7 years and the regions of studies and the types of research approaches, which are more descriptive. And another side is thematic analysis. So based on the definitions of teacher leadership used in those published papers as identified, and the findings, limitations, and suggested implications. So for the total 44 records were screened, and I find out that in AJ, the first one, Asia Pacific JTE, there were 2, and European JTE, there were 2, And then the Journal of Education for Teaching, there were 3, and Journal of Teacher Education 6, and Teacher Education and Special Education 5, and Teaching and Teacher Education 8, Teachers and Teaching 6, Teachers College Record 12. So for the further findings, what are the trends? It's like that. Yeah, in 2018, there were only 2. And then after that year, yeah, based on the published year, 2019, there were 8 there. That is the same as 2020. And 2021, only 4 were identified. And 2022, again, is a growth. Yeah, it's 8. 2023, we have 7, and 2024, right now, 7. For the distribution of teacher leadership studies over the world over these 7 years, we can see that the most published papers were found in the USA. There were 23. And for Italy, Spain, they share the same number 1. Saudi Arabia, the same. New Zealand, also 1. And for China, there were 3. And one more thing is, for Finland, we can see that only 1 study was found. So for the research approaches in these studies, we could see most of them were quantitative based, and still very few of them were quantitative. There were 7, and for mixed method, there were only 3 only. Based on the definitions in those literature, we can see that there were 6 themes based on the thematic analysis. The first one is about the influence and collaboration. So teacher leadership is defined as a collaborative process where educators influence peers and contribute to improving teaching practices and student learning. And the second theme we identified is formal and informal roles. So it encompasses both formal positions with specific responsibilities and informal roles where teachers lead without any official delegated titles, which much more focus on the flexibility of leadership in different contexts. And the third kind of definition, which is about professional development and growth. So this definition links teacher leadership to professional development, which highlights the importance of mentoring, coaching, and participation in professional learning communities. And the fourth theme, based on the definitions, we can find out which is about equity and advocacy. Teacher leadership is framed as a means to advocate for equity and social justice, which focus on culturally relevant practices which address systematic issues within education field. And the fifth theme is about distributed and instructional leadership. The concept of distributed leadership is prevalent, where leadership is shared amongst educators, teachers, and instructional leadership emphasizes teachers' roles in enhancing teaching and learning. And the 6 types of definition, which is much more related to contextual factors and community engagement. So this definition reflects the influence of contextual factors on teacher leadership, which includes school culture and community involvement, and it highlights collaboration with external stakeholders. And what can we learn based on these studies on teacher leadership? We can find out 6 themes, and we find out there were first, we learn about navigating culture and accountability contests. Second one, strengthening partnerships for teacher development. And the third is about empowering beginning and special education teachers. And the fourth, fostering collaborative professional development. And the fifth is about advocating for social justice and inclusivity. And the sixth is about building relational and distributed leadership models. So I'm going to give you a little bit of example based on those what we learn about teacher leadership studies. So for the first one, navigating cultural and accountability context. So we can identify that there was interplay between cultural dimensions, especially about cultural backgrounds of the teachers, and it's about the accountability measures in the teaching practices. So one of the literature we identify, which is highlight accountability. So it's about the context, which are fast and also interplay between the culture and accountability, which really influence her own teaching practice. And here, in the second theme that we learn about teacher leadership, and it's about the effective collaborations between schools and universities are very important for enhancing teacher education, which can help well prepare the graduates and which also help foster ongoing professional growth through diverse mentoring practices. So one of the literature, Tati's paper 2023, it points out the importance of strengthening partnerships for teacher development. In the first theme, empowering beginning and special education teachers, and over here we can see beginning teachers and those in special education require more support and leadership development to drive school improvement so as to effectively meet diverse students' needs. So we need to see that, really emphasize on the importance of coherent professional training. And one of the example paper here, Marine, emphasize on the need of targeted support and development in teacher education program. And the fourth theme, fostering collaborative professional development, which is very important for enhancing teacher leadership to promote teacher agency and facilitate effective instructional practice through shared experience and support. Here, Tati's paper emphasized the importance of collaboration among teachers and university staff in supporting professional development and instructional practices. In the fifth theme, advocating for social justice and inclusivity, and we can see that teacher leadership plays a very important role in promoting educational equity, particularly through the contributions of teachers of color and culturally relevant practices, which are necessary for addressing systematic injustice. So one of the example paper, which is penned in 2022, underscore the importance of culturally relevant practices and the contribution of teachers of color. And the last theme over here, building relational and distributed leadership. That means effective school leadership relies on relational practices and distributed leadership models that promote collaboration, innovation, and also is about conflict resolution so as to enhance overall school performance and culture. And one of the example papers, Roofs in 2024, found out that the relational aspects of leadership and collaborative efforts of teachers and administrators are important to the school so that they can help the school function much better. And what are these studies' limitations? In general, we can see that, as mentioned before, they are mostly based on the quantitative research. And so there is limited generalizability because of the sample size, the participants groups, and also basically they are much more quantitative, and so it's very challenging for generalization, and we just get insights from those personal narratives or case studies. And there may be some sampling bias as well, because many of the studies use purposive or non-random sampling, so that can be quite challenging to get, maybe some biases could be advised over there. And also another limitations we find those in these studies, as those findings are more context specific, and so they only reflect those teachers' experience in different settings. So such kinds of contextual limitation can significantly restrict the applicability of the findings to other contexts. And also, those data are mostly self-reported. That may also affect the bias and accuracies. So for this, you can see that most of the focus of these studies based on those novice teachers or specific educational levels. So they may overlook some very useful knowledge and practices gained from those experienced teachers as well. And also about the impact of external factors. As some of the studies, you can see my scope of study, which happened really between before and after COVID. So that may be influenced by external factors. So that could be the data collection or participants' engagement would be affected. And also still very limited exploration for the long-term effects. And also it's about the limitations on using certain kinds of interventions or methods. So we may not have very comprehensive view of teacher leadership across different approaches. So based on those limitations, we can draw out around 10 key future research focus. That would be, like we have to have a broader participant base, and also we can include much diverse educational contexts, and also maybe we can think about longitudinal studies, for long-term effects of teacher leadership in certain contexts, and also we can try other methodology rather than just focus on quantitative research, and also using different diverse perspectives, as well as different subject areas can be included. And also it's about assessment of professional training or development. And so maybe we can further explore the team dynamics in affecting the teacher leadership, and also try to utilize the empirical studies in these kinds of studies. And we can put more emphasis on relational leadership as well. So to come up to the conclusion, so we can see the trends of TL studies, mostly is US based, and that was growing number around the world, but still we have to do more, because we can see in Asian countries maybe we still don't really do a lot. And for definition, various definitions are presented, so we can see we include different perspectives on teacher leaders' roles and responsibilities. And for the key findings, I think collaborative practice, really across different cultures, which really happen there and which really enhance student culture and performance and student outcomes. And professional development is very important to effective teacher leadership. For those limitations, we have to think about the empirical studies, and also about geographical representation, and also we need to maybe further more, we can do more, comparative studies as well. So for the suggestions, implications for future research, we have to explore underrepresented regions and contexts, and we can think about how to develop and what to develop for comprehensive frameworks for defining and assessing teacher leadership around here. And also we can further investigate long-term effects of teacher leadership on educational outcomes. So thank you very much.